How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe down there. It helps out, means a ton. You guys get plenty of fun stuff. Anyway, yeah, this has been all kinds of crazy stuff coming from One Piece lately. One absolutely huge thing that everybody's probably going to be talking about is the most recent chapter 1023, where we figured out that King's race is called Lunarian. It wasn't directly stated, however, but when Queen said something about Lunarians referring to lighting themselves on fire, and then King immediately looked over at him, and we know King can light himself on fire. Marco even brought attention to it in the previous chapter, 1022. So, immediately, we know they're from the moon. The Lunarian, it's there on multiple levels. Luna being Latin for moon, lunar, moon, lunar cycle. Lunarian is already a name in fiction used for species from the moon. You can see it in multiple different works of fiction, and yeah, it's just a thing already. So, yeah, they're from the moon. This really isn't a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not like this unheard of thing. Skypeans are already from the moon, and then they came to the Earth. So, yeah, it's already happened before. They're not the first race. Well, they might have been the first race to do it. We don't know which one came to the Earth first. It actually might have been Lunarians. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, they came from the moon. Great, awesome. The red line. We also know they were on top of the red line, or at least we can assume they were, because, well, the reason all of this got brought up in the first place with Marco was he said he had heard about a race of people from on top of the red line that could combust into flames or conjure fire. So, great. We can also assume that they are from the red line. Otherwise, why would Oda be putting all of this in there other than to tell us and get us thinking about them being from the moon, living on the red line in the past? We also know that his species is thought to be extinct, pretty much. At least he's thought to be the last one alive. So, yeah, they're very, very ancient. Not a whole lot of them left, if any, besides King. And, yeah, also, God. Okay, now, wait a minute. Marco was continuing to flash back to his conversation with Whitebeard. And Whitebeard mentioned in the ancient past, like way, way back, it was God's land up there. Okay, so where are we going with all of this? They're from the moon. They came down apparently at some point. They inhabited the red line way, way back when. They were eventually pretty much killed off, assuming they didn't just randomly die off on their own. Maybe they got a disease, I don't know. But something else that I had pop back up in my head about King is his whole visual aesthetic. The whole fire and the suit and all black, and even the little emblems that look like the Impel Down emblems, they might be the same ones, the badges on his jacket. Impel Down being hell on earth, basically. That's what it's kind of meant to be. It's basically modeled after the circles of hell from Dante's Divine Comedy. I mean, it's there. So, are we going with the fallen angel route? Is this supposed to be not taking them as an actual race of living Satans that came from the moon, but Oda takes inspiration from all kinds of things in the real world and crams them all into One Piece? Is that where he's going with King and his race and all of that? Taking the idea of Lucifer being the fallen angel, once was an angel, got knocked down and is down there now. All of that stuff. But kind of doing his own thing with it. So starting on the moon, perhaps they actually ruled over the Skypeans at one point. You never know. Maybe they existed there before the Skypeans. Almost all of them left, but a couple of them stayed behind and didn't want to leave their homeland, and maybe over the centuries, over 10,000 years, 15,000 years, however long they were up there, maybe they eventually evolved into what we now know as Skypeans, but originally started as what we know now as Lunarians. It's possible. We don't know. But anyway, eventually at some point they came down to the red line. So already descending, but at this point of their own accord. What if they came down to the Earth, decided to settle on the red line, and basically, well, let me ask you a simple question. If a race of people descended from on high with wings, able to magically conjure fire like it's a natural ability they just have, would you not stop for half of a second and go, are these gods? Like, seriously, are you like a biological being? Are you a spiritual being? What are you, and why can you do what you can do? It's very possible. So maybe they got this big head, or maybe they just subjugated the land on their own and called themselves gods. But eventually, at some point, came to be known as gods that lived atop the red line, making the top of the red line known as God's land. Now, skip to the present. They've all but fallen. Only one is left in the entire world for all we know, possibly in the entire universe. But they were probably wiped out by, well, someone, maybe the world government. And now, the last final one of their race, not even living on top of the red line anymore, not viewed as a god anymore, not giving to live on God's land, knocked all the way down to the blue sea. How far has this race fallen? From being a powerful race coming from the moon, probably, living on the red line, being seen as gods in the people's eyes, now being reduced to a population of one. Not viewed as a god, completely forgotten to time almost. Maybe we're just going with the fallen angel thing. We even have wings on them. I mean, come on. Who knows? Maybe. I think that's possibly part of it. Obviously, Oda's going to have so much more for all of this. But I really do, when I start to connect coming from the moon down to the red line, possibly being viewed as gods by people way back in time, we might be going with a fallen angel aesthetic and turning that into a whole One Piece concept from Oda's brain that half of us would never think of. I know I wouldn't. But yeah, I think it's extremely interesting, and I kind of just wanted to get this all out there and just talk about it and, I don't know, make something. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like I said at the beginning, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It helps out me. So you guys get plenty of fun stuff. You get it. I'm out, and I will see you guys next time.